There's a pain you carry us, but it's not yours. Have you ever felt it? That unexplained anxiety and that surges from nowhere, as if something ancient pulsed within your chest, something you can't name, but you recognize, like a distant echo of a melody you've never heard, but your soul knows by heart. Eckhart Tolle always said human suffering has layers, layers that extend far beyond this life, and today neuroscience has finally proven him right. In 2013, a study at Emory University shocked the scientific community. Rats were conditioned to fear the scent of cherry. Their offspring were born with the same fear, without ever being exposed to the stimulus. Their brains were already programmed with their parents' trauma. Ancestral memory, etched into DNA. You can't imagine what this means for you right now. Because if traumas can be inherited, they can also be reprogrammed. And there's a time of the month when this reprogramming becomes up to 300% more effective. The full moon isn't just an astronomical phenomenon, it's a neurological amplifier. When the moon reaches its fullness, something extraordinary happens in your brain. Alpha waves increase by 23%, melatonin production changes dramatically, and a very ancient part of your nervous system awakens. The limbic system begins to pulse at frequencies we don't experience at any other time of the month. It's as if a door opens, a door to neural circuits that usually remain dormant, and it's precisely through this door that ancestral wounds can finally be released. But you need to know something important. This protocol I'm about to share with you isn't accepted by traditional medicine. That's why it's called forbidden, not because it's dangerous, but because it challenges everything we thought we knew about healing. The truth is that shamans from different cultures have known this for millennia. They waited for the full moon to perform their deepest cleansing ceremonies, but they couldn't scientifically explain why it worked. Now we can. Dr. Russell Foster of Oxford University discovered we have specialized retinal cells that respond exclusively to moonlight. These cells send direct signals to the hypothalamus, and the hypothalamus controls everything. Your hormones, your emotions, your oldest memories. Are you starting to understand? The full moon isn't just a poetic moment, it's a real neurochemical window, a unique opportunity to access and reprogram patterns that have been etched into your nervous system for generations. But here's what surprises me the most. Eckhart Tolle, without knowing these studies, had already described this process exactly in the 90s. He talked about dissolving the inherited body of pain, about how certain traumas didn't belong to our personal experience, but to the collective experience of humanity. And he was right, neurologically right. Today we know that the brain stores information from at least 3 previous generations. Your grandparents, great-grandparents, their pains still echo in your neural circuits, like electrical ghosts that influence every decision you make. Have you ever wondered why you feel fears that don't make sense? Why certain situations paralyze you for no apparent reason? Why some relationships always end the same way, no matter how hard you try? The answer lies in your ancestral circuits, and there's one night a month when these circuits become vulnerable, flexible, reprogrammable. The protocol I'm going to share combines 3 fundamental elements. First, the deep state of presence that Eckhart Tolle taught. Second, synchronization with the lunar cycles that shamans have always used. Third, specific neuroplasticity techniques that have been validated in the laboratory. But before revealing the protocol, you need to understand something crucial about how ancestral wounds work. They aren't normal memories. They are energy patterns that manifest as neural impulses, like programs running in the background of your brain. You aren't aware of them, but they guide your life. Think of it this way. Your great-grandfather went hungry during a war. That trauma created neural circuits of scarcity in his brain. These circuits were transmitted genetically, and now you have a complicated relationship with money without ever having experienced need. Or your great-grandmother was abandoned by her husband. The abandonment circuits etched into her nervous system were inherited. And now you have self-destructive relationship patterns, even though you rationally know you want to be happy. Does this make sense to you? Science calls this epigenetic inheritance. Spirituality calls it karma. But the name doesn't matter. What matters is that there is a solution, and this solution only works at specific times. When the neurological conditions are perfect for reprogramming, the full moon creates these conditions. During the 48 hours of the lunar peak, your brain enters a unique state. Brainwaves synchronize with frequencies that normally only appear in deep meditative states. But without needing years of practice, it's as if the moon itself does the hard work for you. Dr. Michael Persinger, a pioneer in neuroscience, discovered that specific magnetic fields can induce deep spiritual experiences, and the moon, during the full phase, generates exactly this type of magnetic field. You are being bathed in frequencies that your ancestors intuitively recognized as sacred, frequencies that open doors in your brain. And through these doors, ancestral wounds can finally find a way out. But there is a specific protocol, a precise sequence that must be followed for the release to happen safely and permanently. The first step is neurological preparation. 3 days before the full moon, you need to start preparing your nervous system. This involves specific practices that increase neuroplasticity and make ancestral circuits more accessible. Eckhart Tolle always emphasized the importance of the state of presence, but what he didn't know is that presence physically alters the structure of the brain, increases the density of gray matter in the prefrontal cortex, and decreases the activity of the amygdala, where traumas are stored. When you are truly present, ancestral circuits begin to stand out from the rest of the neural activity. They become visible, accessible. It's like turning on a light in a dark basement. Suddenly you can see what has always been there. The second step is lunar synchronization. On the night of the full moon, you need to expose yourself directly to moonlight for at least 20 minutes. This isn't mysticism. It's applied neuroscience. The full moon's light. It carries specific frequencies that activate your pineal gland. And the pineal gland, it produces endogenous DMT, the very compound responsible for those profound transcendental experiences. You're literally altering your brain chemistry, naturally. But here's the secret, a secret few know. Exposure to lunar light needs to happen in a specific state of consciousness, a state blending pure presence with focused intention. It's not ordinary meditation. It's a precise technique, a technique that amplifies the neurological effects of the full moon. You'll sit or lie down, so the moonlight touches your forehead directly, specifically the area of your third eye, where the pineal gland resides. And then you'll enter what I call a conscious receptive state. This means being fully present, but without resistance, allowing any sensation, memory, or emotion to arise without judgment. As if you were a neutral observer of everything that emerges, and a lot will emerge. In the first few minutes, you might feel waves of unexplained emotion, deep sadness for no reason, ancient rage, primal fear. Don't be alarmed. These are ancestral wounds minds beginning to mobilize. The moonlight is activating neural circuits that normally remain dormant. Traumas from generations past are surfacing. And that's exactly what we want, because only what emerges can be released. The third step is conscious transmutation. This is where the wisdom of Eckhart Tolle becomes key. He taught us not to fight suffering, but to move through it with total presence. When those ancestral wounds emerge, you won't try to control or suppress them. You'll receive them with complete compassion, like a parent embracing a wounded child, and something extraordinary will happen. The neural circuits associated with these traumas will begin to unravel, literally. The neuroplasticity enhanced by the full moon allows old patterns to dissolve in real time. It's as if the moon were a neurological solvent, dissolving connections that kept you bound to pains that weren't even yours. But there's a fourth step, the most important, anchoring the new programming. After the ancestral wounds are released, you need to fill that space with something new. Otherwise, the old patterns might return. And here lies the most beautiful part of the protocol. You'll use the same lunar energy that dissolved the ancestral traumas to install new neural patterns, patterns of your choosing, patterns that will benefit not only you, but future generations of your lineage. That's right, you're not just healing your past, you're reprogramming your ancestral future. Neuroplasticity works both ways. If traumas can be inherited, positive qualities can be too. And during the full moon, you have a unique opportunity to engrave new patterns into your epigenetic DNA. Dr. Bruce Lipton, a pioneer in epigenetics, demonstrated that our beliefs literally alter the expression of our genes, and these alterations are passed down to future generations. You are about to become the healer of your entire lineage. But first, let me tell you about Sarah, a woman who applied this protocol 2 years ago. Sarah carried an unexplained depression since adolescence. She had tried therapy, medication, everything. Nothing worked long-term. During the full moon ritual, she experienced something extraordinary. Memories that weren't hers began to emerge. Images of a woman in a concentration camp. A great-grandmother had lost her husband in the Nazi camps. A trauma so deep, it had been genetically imprinted. And in the 48 hours following the ritual, Sarah felt something she'd never experienced before. A genuine lightness, as if an invisible weight had been lifted from her shoulders. 6 months later, she wrote to me. Not only had the depression vanished, her 8-year-old daughter, who had always been anxious and fearful, had also changed, more courageous, more confident, as if Sarah's new neural patterns were being transmitted in real time. This isn't coincidence, it's science. When you reprogram your ancestral circuits, you're changing the energetic field of your entire family, and the full moon amplifies this effect. Now, let me reveal the complete protocol, every detail, every nuance that makes the difference between a superficial experience and a permanent transformation. The complete lunar protocol takes place in 4 distinct phases. Each phase corresponds to a specific aspect of neurological reprogramming. Phase 1. Neural preparation, 3 days before the full moon. You'll begin by altering your sleep patterns. During these 3 days, wake up at the same time every day, preferably before sunrise. This synchronizes your circadian rhythm with the lunar cycles. Eckhart Tolle always emphasized the importance of the early morning hours for spiritual practices. Now we know why. Between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m., the prefrontal cortex is most active. And it's this region that needs to be strengthened for the ritual. Each morning, for 20 minutes, practice what I call neuroplastic presence. Sit in silence and observe each thought that arises, but without identifying with any of them. As if you were a scientist observing neural activity in a laboratory, this specific practice increases the density of gray matter in the prefrontal cortex in just 3 days. Neuroimaging studies confirm this. You're literally preparing your brain for reprogramming. On the 3rd day, add a specific technique. During the 20 minutes of presence, visualize rays of golden light entering your forehead and illuminating every cell in your brain. This isn't just visualization. It's epigenetic preparation. Directed imagination activates the same neural circuits as real experience. You are pre-configuring your nervous system to recognize and amplify the lunar energy. Phase 2. Direct lunar exposure, night of the full moon. 2 hours after sunset, when the moon is visible, find a spot where you can receive the moonlight directly on your skin, ideally outdoors, if not possible, near an open window. Skin temperature is crucial. You need to feel the coolness of the night. This activates the parasympathetic nervous system and facilitates access to ancestral circuits. Remove your shoes and socks. The contact of your feet with the earth, or at least the ground, creates what scientists call electrical grounding. This stabilizes your body's bioelectric field and amplifies your receptivity to lunar frequencies. Position yourself so that the moonlight touches your forehead, specifically the area between your eyebrows. Close your eyes halfway, letting the moonlight stimulate your pineal gland through your eyelids. And now, the most important part. The lunar breathing technique. Inhale, counting to 4. Hold your breath for 7 seconds. Exhale, counting to 8. This is the 4 to 7, 8 breath, which Dr. Andrew Weil has shown to induce altered states of consciousness in minutes. But you're going to add a specific element. With each exhale, imagine you're releasing not just air, but also dense ancestral energies, as if each exhale were a small death, a small release. Continue this breath for at least 20 cycles. You'll begin to feel changes in perception. The edges of reality may seem more fluid. This is normal. You're entering what neuroscientists call a non-ordinary state of consciousness. In this state, the normal filters of perception dissolve, and this is where ancestral wounds become accessible. Phase 3. Encountering ancestral wounds after the 20 breathing cycles. Simply observe, without expectations, without judgments, as if you were a consciousness archaeologist. uncovering ancient layers of human experience. Unexplained physical sensations may emerge. Chest pains with no physical origin, tremors for no apparent reason, spontaneous tears. Allow everything. Images may arise, memories, knowledge you know isn't yours, faces of people you've never seen, landscapes of places you've never been, traumatic situations you didn't live through. Don't question. Don't analyze, just observe with complete compassion. And here apply Eckhart Tolle's deepest teaching. What you resist persists. What you accept totally transforms. Each ancestral wound that emerges, receive it as if it were a wounded child seeking comfort. Mentally say, I see you, I honor your pain. You can go in peace now. You'll feel when the release happens. It's unmistakable, as if something very old and heavy simply dissolved. The neural circuits associated with that trauma begin to unravel in real time. The feeling is one of profound relief. But don't stop here. Release is only half the process. Phase 4. Installing new patterns. Now comes conscious reprogramming. The moment you become the architect of your genetic inheritance. With the ancestral circuits clean and receptive, you will intentionally install new patterns. Patterns that will be passed down to the next generations of your lineage. Think carefully. What qualities would you like your descendants to inherit automatically? Courage, compassion, creativity, inner peace. Choose 3 specific qualities, and for each one, create an installation phrase. I anchor unshakable courage in the neural circuits of my lineage. I program infinite compassion into the emotional DNA of my descendants. I install abundant creativity in the ancestral heritage of my family. Repeat each phrase 21 times, while visualizing golden rays of light, recording this information into every cell of your body, especially the reproductive cells. You are literally reprogramming the future of your lineage. Dr. Dan Siegel of UCLA has shown that intentional mindfulness practices alter gene expression in real time, and during the full moon, this process is amplified exponentially. End the ritual with a statement of gratitude. I honor the ancestors who carried pains so that I could be here. I release these pains with love. I anchor blessings for future generations. May this healing radiate through time, healing the past and blessing the future. And then, simply rest. Allow your nervous system to integrate the changes. In the next 48 hours, and you may experience intense dreams, fluctuating emotions, spontaneous insights. All of this is part of the neurological integration process. But there's something more I need to tell you. Something I discovered only recently, and that completely changed my understanding of this protocol. The changes don't just happen in you. They radiate through what quantum physicists call the family morphogenetic field. Rupert Sheldrake has shown that information can be transmitted instantaneously between members of the same species through fields of resonance, and the family is the strongest resonance unit that exists. When you heal ancestral wounds, other members of your family may experience simultaneous changes, even without knowing about your ritual, even if geographically distant. Lisa, one of the people who applied the protocol, reported something impressive to me. During her lunar ritual, she released trauma related to paternal abandonment. The next morning, she received an unexpected call from her own father, with whom she hadn't spoken in 5 years. He apologized for no apparent reason. Coincidence? Unlikely. Family morphogenetic field? Very likely. You're not just healing yourself. You're healing the entire network of relationships that share your genetic heritage. And here's the most extraordinary aspect. The ritual can be repeated every full moon, but each repetition accesses deeper layers of ancestral programming. The first time, you may release trauma from the last 2 generations. The second time, older traumas emerge. The third time, you may access patterns dating back hundreds of years in your lineage, as if each full moon were a new archaeological layer of your emotional heritage. But be careful. This protocol is not a game. You are messing with very powerful neurological and energetic forces. Some precautions are essential. First, never perform the ritual if you are going through a severe emotional crisis. The protocol amplifies emotional states. If you are in deep depression or extreme anxiety, wait for a period of greater stability. Second, prepare for radical changes in your external life. When you reprogram ancestral circuits, Your external reality reorganizes to reflect the new patterns. Relationships may change, opportunities may appear, toxic situations may dissolve naturally. Third, have support. Ideally, share your experience with someone you trust who can accompany you through the integration process. And now, the most important question: are you ready to take responsibility for healing not only yourself, but your entire lineage? Because once you apply this protocol, there's no going back. The changes are permanent. The reprogrammed neural circuits remain that way, and you become responsible for keeping the new patterns active through your daily choices. Eckhart Tolle always said that awakening is an irreversible process. Once you see through the illusions of the mind, you can no longer pretend you haven't. It's the same with ancestral healing. Once you release inherited wounds, it becomes impossible to return to the old patterns of automatic suffering. Are you ready for that responsibility? If the answer is yes, mark your calendar for the next full moon. Prepare yourself, following exactly the protocol I've revealed, and allow yourself to experience the deepest transformation of your life. But if something inside you still hesitates, honor that hesitation. It might be wisdom, it might be fear. Only you can discern. What I can guarantee is this: this protocol works. The scientific basis is solid, the results are measurable, and the transformations are real. But ultimately, the choice is always yours. The moon will be there, full and powerful, amplifying the healing frequencies. Ancestral circuits will be accessible. The neurological portal will be open. The only question that remains is, will you cross? And maybe, just maybe, your choices this night will echo through future generations of your family. Maybe your great-grandchildren will be born free from the trauma you've carried your whole life. Maybe they will inherit, instead of wounds, the natural capacity to love without fear. Maybe you will be the healed ancestor your descendants will silently thank. The moon doesn't wait. It simply shines, offering its transformative power to those courageous enough to receive it. And you, are you ready to become the healer your entire lineage has been waiting for?